The Afia Business Morning. Join me every weekday on the Afia Business Morning as we bring to you a trilogy of business segments. The opening bell, where we see activities from our selected stock exchanges. The global business, where we bring you up to speed on business activities making the rounds all over the world. And we bring the conversation home on the segment Eastern Business Reports, as we discuss business activities and issues bedeviling businesses in the Southeast region. My name is Ubon Kings. Join the Afia Business Morning every weekday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Exclusive to Afia TV on DSTV channel 254 and Go TV channel 17. The Afia Business Morning. Business unusual.
Sincere apologies, we couldn't bring to you the opening bell segment of the Afia Business Morning, but then again, I want to welcome you officially to the Afia Business Morning, and this indeed is Global Business. And in Global Business, we bring you up to speed on business activities making the rounds all over the world and Africa also. My name is Ubon Kings. Here are the headlines that we are tracking at the moment. Starting out from Africa, where it's reported that cryptocurrency regulation intensifies in Kenya. I beg your pardon for that slight mix-up there. Moving on to other headlines making the rounds. IBM releases new AI modules catered towards businesses. And still from the foreign scene, India's 2030 renewable goals, solar imports could soar to $30 billion annually. We'll bring you details of these stories and more right after this time out. Please stay. Welcome back, and moving on to stories right here on the Global Business. We begin with stories from Africa, where it's reported that the Egyptian government has recently raised fuel prices by between 10% and 17%, a move likely to impact the cost of both goods and services, as the decision was made in order to reduce the gap between selling prices of petroleum products and their high production and import costs. Meanwhile, Egyptians have been grappling with soaring inflation as they navigate in rising daily costs that reached another high over the summer, including a previous 10% increase in fuel prices, a hike in subway fares, and the local currency sliding against foreign currencies. You may want to justify this and say, it's also happening in Nigeria, but let's break it down. In Egypt, they are experiencing a 10% price hike in fuel. In Nigeria, it's more than 100%. As a matter of fact, some people think it's about a 250% increase from you know, what it was to where we are now. We're paying as much as 1,300 naira for a liter of fuel. And then I'm not trying to make comparison between the two countries. They're both different in different ways, but then again, it's important we get that straight. Now, the story has it that the Egyptian government recently raised its fuel prices, recently moved. Now, this was done in the open, right? It wasn't like it was a clandestine operation, for lack of a better expression. It was done in the open. In other words, citizens were aware that this was going to happen. But in our case here, you just wake up one day and you just hear that the fuel cost of pump price of petrol has increased at a certain rate, and you're asking yourself, are the people even contacted or put into the equation when these things are changing? Because at the end of the day, it's a common man on the street. It's you and I that will suffer the brunt of the matter. That's just what it is. And at the end of the day, too, it does appear that government most of the time doesn't really listen. I mean, they keep coming up with rhetorics that they are feeling the pain of the masses, but actions and everything else says otherwise. And moving away from that story to other business stories, this time around from the world of tech, it's reported that IBM, one of the world's largest IT companies, has released the latest version of its artificial intelligence Granite 3.0 mergers catered towards businesses looking to capitalize on the surge in enterprises adopting generative AI technology, which will be made open source similar to other versions in IBM's Granite family of AI modules, as it differs from rivals such as Microsoft that charge customers for access to their modules. Furthermore, some variants of the new Granite modules are available for commercial use on IBM's paid tool Watsonx platform, as a selection of these modules will also be available on NVIDIA's stack of software tools that enable businesses to incorporate AI modules. Quickly, let's look at the comparison. Even this story here makes a comparison between IBM and, of course, Microsoft. On one hand, IBM's Granite family AI modules are pretty much free, right? Microsoft, on the other hand, offers, of course, a rival of what IBM is doing, but charges customers for access to their modules. You see, another big part to this angle will be the fact that IBM is leveraging what NVIDIA is doing and then taking advantage of NVIDIA's business stack, so to speak, lack of better expression, that. And of course, in case you didn't know, NVIDIA also has a stack of software tools for businesses. And now, having IBM leverage that is a game changer. And then it's not as expensive, even though some are paid for, but not expensive as that offered by Microsoft. Well, competition is brewing, but the question really is, in this part of the world, Africa, if you put the only two brands that we know when it comes to computing businesses, right, is Microsoft and there's Apple. Nobody really talks IBM, really, because in this part of the world, those are the two brands we know, and those are the two brands we work with. It's either you are on the Microsoft or you are on Apple, but IBM, not exactly. How many IBM laptops do you see? How many IBM systems, branded systems, do you see in this part of the world? Let's think about it. So this may not necessarily affect the Nigerian market, so to speak, but eventually it could affect with time. But as it stands at the moment, no, it wouldn't. But over there in Europe, yes, it would affect their markets there, because people there are advancing as far as technology is concerned, as far as the AI wave is concerned. A lot of persons are pro the AI wave, a lot of persons are against the AI wave. But whatever it is, AI really has come to stay. I don't know about you, but you pretty much have seen quite a number of movies or clips, video clips on socials, where you're watching one thing and the video transforms to yet another thing almost seamlessly, right? Those are created with AI, and that's pretty much the future. And if you are still fighting AI, you probably have your reasons. You're still watching Global Business on the Afia Business Morning right here on Afia TV. You may want to join in on the conversation, watching live right now on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel by tapping the search bar www.youtube.com/Afia Business, and while you're there, Do have to hit the like button. Remember to subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And we are also available on socials. Follow us on Instagram with the handle at Afia Business _. Up next will be more business news stories from the rest of the world after this time out. Stay tuned. My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Akwamaga.
I am Chioma Akbala.
My name is Ifulaya Ndule, but I'm living in our market begin.
It's good to have you rejoin us on the Afia Business Morning. This indeed is global business. And now to the rest of our stories. Let's go to the world of fashion retailing. I'm interested to know that Boohoo, a British online fashion retailer, has seen revenue plummet, as it were, as it faces competition from Shein and Temu, where its CEO, John Little, is to step down as the British fashion firm prepares for a new strategic review, as its operations require an overhaul to unlock and maximize shareholder value, where currently it's stated that its business remains fundamentally undervalued. Although Boohoo profited from an online shopping surge during the pandemic, it has since underperformed against Chinese rivals like Shein and Temu. However, supply chain problems and higher product returns have also hit the firm's margins, while consumer demand has been dampened by wider economic conditions. Let's look at this story real quickly. I'm going to take it from the last part. The last part that says that the firm has been hit, or rather dampened, consumer demand rather, has been dampened by wider economic conditions. It's everywhere, basically, right? But the difference will now be how you're able to adapt. I'll give you a reason why. The reason rather that Chinese rivals Shein and Temu have been able to stay afloat, I'll tell you. These brands have been able to put up items that are relatively cheaper alternative to what you have, right? For instance, you put a wristwatch of a certain amount, they give you something else a lot cheaper than that one, but pretty much look alike. Yes, let's not talk about maybe or not. It's going to be a case of what you ordered versus what you got, etc. Yeah, those cases apply to, yeah, it could happen. But then, most of the time, what has happened is the Chinese rivals like Shein and Temu are actually giving things that are less expensive compared to what Boohoo is offering. And then again, it may also interest you to know that there's the second paragraph did talk about the fact that Boohoo actually enjoyed a certain level of patronage, a surge, that's what it was called, a surge in patronage during the pandemic period. Why? Because most persons were home, right? So if you wanted something, you had to order it. And then the price tag you put on it as at that time, if you wanted it, you will really get it, right? So it's a case of convenience and pricing, right? The convenience was there, it will be delivered to you. The pricing, not so much, but then, yeah, you still get the product, right? That's the same thing here. And then over time, you find out that the Chinese brands, retail outlets, Shein and Temu, took over. Why? Because they were able to sell most of these other products a lot cheaper. And that's always been the issues that a lot of companies, European-based companies, and especially in the automotive industry have been having with China. China produces their cars, electric vehicles, ship them off, and they sell a lot cheaper compared to others. And that's pretty much the place where China has always almost dominated, in the place of pricing crash crashing the prices of commodities. Oh well, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how all of that falls later on. And in an attempt to end this bulletin, let's bring a report that India has added 15 gigawatts of solar capacity in 2023-2024, bringing the total to 90.8 gigawatts by September, a significant increase from just 2.8 gigawatts in 2014 rather, where its ambitious goal of installing 500 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030 is said to drive the country's annual solar equipment imports to around $30 billion due to the heavy reliance on Chinese goods, according to the Global Trade Research Initiative, GTRI. Furthermore, the think tank has emphasized on the need for India to develop a self-reliant solar manufacturing ecosystem, particularly in key areas such as polysilicon and wafer production, without which India may continue to face high import costs, jeopardizing its ability to meet its renewable energy target. Now, this is a country that actually is taking renewable energy seriously, right? I'm also reminded of when Modi started his green energy revolution in India, but then it looked like it was impossible. But right now, the feat is India has added 15 gigawatts of solar capacity in 2023-2024, bringing it to a total of 90.8 gigawatts by September, just last month, right? And then this is a significant increase from just 2.8 gigawatts that was achieved in 2014. 2.8 to 90.8 gigawatts of power. I know you're thinking, what about Nigeria? Oh well, I'm sure you know the idea, you get the picture already, okay? And then the question is, why is it that we're not looking for other sources, other ways to beef up, for lack of a better expression, beef up our energy supply? Well, we on ASAT 4 months ago took out the time to report on where Modi's green revolution when it comes to power generation. Let's take a look.
Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, with his renewed mandate, has major goals to accomplish in the third term. One of them is pushing India towards a green era, aiming for 500 gigawatts of non-fossil energy by 2030. However, coal continues to dominate, accounting for 75% of India's electricity generation. Despite adding over 100 gigawatts of renewable capacity in the past decade, the country faces a surge in electricity demand that strains its aging power grid. And to meet these demands, India plans to add 90 gigawatts of new coal projects by 2032. India estimates a need for $29 billion in infrastructure investment, particularly for new transmission lines. The financial health of distribution companies remains fragile, impacting the reliability of power supply. A massive 3 trillion rupee project aims to enhance grid profitability through smart metering. And the current strategy emphasizes coal expansion, which may not be cost-effective or reliable in the long run. With a potentially more fragmented coalition, there can be a push towards decentralizing the green economy, and this could spur regional growth and spread the benefits of clean energy investments more widely. This shift might enhance economic opportunities in less affluent areas, integrating green policies with local development goals. As India faces increasing climate vulnerabilities, including extreme heat and drought, the integration of renewable energy and storage solutions presents a viable path forward.
There you have it. We'll follow up with the story and other stories as they unfold and keep you in the loop. And talking about keeping you in the loop, you should visit our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/Afia Business. And while you're there, to hit the like button, remember you should subscribe so you get notifications on all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And by the way, you could join us on socials, Instagram specifically. We are live there at Afia Business _ to be part of our social media community. You are still watching the Afia Business Morning, and coming up next will be a conversation, the B-part conversation on the CNG issues and how well is the Southeast positioned to actually enjoy or otherwise from the benefits or non-benefits of CNG. We'll look at all of that on the Eastern Business Report after this time out. My name is Ubong Kings. Stay tuned. My name is Ubong Kings.
I am Marvelous Akwamaga.
I am Chioma Okpala.
My name na Ifunaya Ndule, but I'm living in market pikin.
The Afia Business Morning. Join me every weekday on the Afia Business Morning as we bring to you a trilogy of business segments. The opening bell where we see activities from our selected stock exchanges. The global business where we bring you up to speed on business activities, making the rounds all over the world. And we bring the conversation home on the segment Eastern Business Reports as we discuss business activities and issues bedeviling businesses in the Southeast region. My name is Ubong Kings. Join the Afia Business Morning every weekday 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Exclusive to Afia TV on DSTV channel 254 and Go TV channel 17. The Afia Business Morning. Business unusual.
It's good to have you rejoin us on the Afia Business Morning, and this is the Eastern Business Report, which is designed to bring you up to speed on business activities and issues affecting businesses and policies as well of government affecting businesses in the southeastern part of Nigeria. It comes right after Global Business on the Afia Business Morning. And on today's edition of the Eastern Business Report, we'll be looking specifically at the CNG narratives or initiatives, specifically about the positioning of the Southeast when it comes to CNG. This is in furtherance of the conversation we began last week. It may interest you to know, by way of a background to this particular discourse this morning, the Presidential CNG Initiative, PICNG, is a component of the palliative intervention of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's led administration. And it may also interest you to know that it is directed at providing succor to the masses occasioned by the transitive hardships of the fuel subsidy removal policy of the federal government of Nigeria. Sequel to the removal of the PMS subsidy and the full deregulation of the petroleum products market, the price of PMS has increased significantly. As such, there is need to consider alternative sources of fuel, primarily CNG and electric vehicles and EV4 vehicles. Now, these issues and more will form the basis of our conversation this morning. My name is Ubong Kings. Welcome. You're welcome back, and it's still the Eastern Business Report right here on the Afia Business Morning. And joining me on this conversation around, CNG initiatives, the positioning of the Southeast in all of this development is none other than Engineer Meja Charles. I hope I pronounced that properly.
Yeah,
Meja Charles.
Okay.
He is a Southeast representative of Autogas Nigeria. It's good to have you join us.
Thank you very much. Nice having me on your program.
It's beautiful. But before we get into this conversation proper, I know over the week, I think last week, I saw a video, right? I saw a video, it had to do specifically with a blast, an explosion of a CNG, vehicle, so to speak, in Edo State. Let's look at that quickly. When we come back, we'll talk about it. Let's look at it.
A vehicle powered by compressed natural gas has exploded near a fuel station in Aduawa, a town on the outskirts of the capital, Benin City. 3 people were injured in the blast. The presidential CNG initiative says the car was an illegally modified vehicle. Sources say the explosion was traced to a cylinder that had been fabricated by a welder without proper approval. The organization said the police and regulatory authorities are undertaking a painstaking investigation into the incident. It comes on the heels of concerns raised by some members of the public over the safety of compressed natural gas, or CNG.
You just saw an overview of that, not so detailed, but yes, good enough for you to see images and analysis and that. And let's start from there. A cross-section of Nigerians think that CNG is not safe anymore. I mean, we just saw that video, right? So from your point of view, is it as safe as they make it sound, number one? Number two, is it not a risky alternative?
Actually, when we talk about CNG, we're talking about the various other hydrocarbons we have around, to include the fuel, the LPG, as the natural gas, and a couple of other things. And one basic thing about it is they all need safe handling in the first place. Then when it comes about safety, CNG still remains the safest amongst the options we have now.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you take a look at the explosion we saw on the video, yeah, it happened at a Nimco fleet station.
Right.
Inside the fleet station, you could see the car turn to two. But there was one basic thing about it: there was no fire outbreak in it. There was no fire outbreak, and this is something people have not really been able to pinpoint.
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
There was no fire outbreak.
That's true.
Imagining that's happening in an LPG center or a fuel station. Imagine the fire outbreak that would have blown out of it.
If it was
exactly.
fuel or
something.
Fuel
or LPG.
Yeah.
Now, why is CNG more safer? A safer option for us. The CNG we see today is actually lighter than air. This CNG we're talking about is lighter than air. When we talk about fuel, when we talk about LPG, when I talk about LPG, I mean liquefied petroleum gas as a cooking gas. Now, these other hydrocarbons are heavier than air, and that's why when there's an outbreak or a leakage in LPG or fuel, you kind of see it on the floor. You kind of see a wave-like moving around. But when it comes to CNG, it's quite different, because that's what it says, lighter than air. Once there's a leakage, it disperses into thin air. So it doesn't give you that space. It doesn't give that space for light or kind of flame to fly along. It just disperses almost immediately into thin air, because it's lighter than air. And that was what happened at the filling station. At the moment they had that burst, it dispersed immediately. And now it will be, at this point, I think it's essential we understand that what happened at this fuel station wasn't actually the fault of the CNG itself as a gas. It was a fault from the handling of the installation and the equipment. Now, one unique thing about CNG you must have to understand is CNG is a high-pressure gas. It's a gas that's been compressed under high pressure to be contained inside a container. Now, there's the tanks we're talking about, the CNG tank we're talking about. We should understand that it's built to contain a high pressure, actually. That's why if you're using an LPG tank, you can't fill a CNG tank inside it, because of the design of the tank itself and design of the LPG and the same. Okay. So if you're doing that automatically, there's going to be a burst. The CNG has the capacity to blow it up, because it can't withstand the pressure from the CNG gas itself. So I think CNG relatively is very, very safe. Very, very safe. It's just the only challenge we have around the CNG sector now would be the handling, like from the presidential initiative investigations from the last explosion in Benin City. It was discovered the tank itself was locally built by a welder, and the components that were used for developing a CNG tank normally went in perspective. You don't consider it while building that. So I think one of the challenges we have would be around the installation, around the kits, the capable hands and the technical skills in being able to install these. And that's another area the PCNG is working tirelessly to develop a robust framework so that issues like this won't be repeating themselves.
Okay, now you said something about technical skill and all. I'll come back to that, but there's something you said, CNG being lighter than air.
Yeah.
Now, there's this concern that because it's lighter than air, there's a possibility it will not last that long for mileage if you're using it on the vehicle. How true is that?
Oh, no, that's not true. Like, for instance, there's research we've done of late, and I think you use a liter of fuel. With a liter of fuel, and you're driving on a good road, it takes for like 8 kilometers. If you're driving on a good road. Now,
when you say good road, without potholes?
Without potholes,
just smooth?
Smooth, okay. 8 kilometers. And now for CNG, it takes 0.7, not up to it's measured in SMC.
Okay.
SMC, but in this case, I could just say a kg or a liter. It doesn't take you up to 1 SMC. It takes you 0.7, and that 0.7 covers that same distance for you. Do you understand? So it doesn't burn. It's not as if it doesn't. It serves you as much as the fuel serves. It covers almost the same distance as well too. So it doesn't burn faster.
Really?
It doesn't burn faster.
So 1 SMC, like, is it an equivalent of a liter?
An equivalent of 0.7 is equivalent of a liter.
Oh, okay.
0.7
That's what I wanted to confirm. I needed to get that out.
Yeah.
Now, talking about technical skill that you mentioned earlier, that there will be a need for people to know the kind of materials to use to build CNG tanks, etc. Technical skill. Now, how do we ensure, or what's the guarantee that a CNG tank you see somewhere had been followed through with all due processes and it had been handled properly? How would you know?
Okay. Yeah, that's where the PCNG actually really commend them for the efforts and what they've been doing so far in the CNG sector. That's a governing body that develops some policies when it comes to CNG related issues. And so far they're developing what we call a Nigerian vehicle and gas monitoring system. This system is kind of a partnership with PCING. We have the NADDC, that's the Nigerian Automobile Development and Design Council. We have the SON as part of it as well. We have the Federal Road Safety, and we have the Nigerian midstream and downstream sectors involved in it. And they're trying to create a robust framework. Now, the whole idea is this. At the point of importation of these kits, SON does the job of kind of making sure these kits that are coming into the country, because they're all imported, are up to standard. We have there's an internationally acclaimed standard for CNG kits. When it arrives the country, NADDC is tasked with making sure that every vehicle that's been converted has to be converted within an accredited workshop space and being converted by a certified conversion engineer.
Okay.
The road safety itself, at the point of installing, there are some certificate issues to you that covers certification of your tanks and other things. So by the road safety, if you are driving a CNG converted vehicle, road safety undertakes the task of making sure the tanks installed on your car are kind of certified. So when you're submitting your document, just like you submit your car document, your certification, your tank certification is attached to it. You understand? So I think the whole the Nigerian midstream and the downstream regulatory body, they make sure and ascertain that wherever we have these CNG refilling stations mounted, they pass through the proper documentation and the regulatory procedures. So with this robust vehicle maintenance framework for the CNG sector, I think it gives us a roadmap and a guidance of where we should convert our car, which should be at an accredited conversion workshop. Who should convert your car? A certified CNG conversion engineer. And with these measures in place, I think Nigeria will head in the right direction.
Okay, talking about right direction, you said something about most of these kits being imported. Is it that these kits cannot be fabricated in Nigeria, or we don't have the capacity just yet?
Right now, we should understand the fact that CNG is a new technology in Nigeria, per se in Africa, not globally, but in Africa, in the sense of just embracing the CNG sector. And the circumstances at which you're embracing it is kind of so soon and so fast. But at the same time, we're doing our best to see what we can do within the limited time. The federal government is in partnership with other stakeholders and some of the advanced countries who are involved in manufacturing to see how we can set up some manufacturing outlets in Nigeria that can produce them because of the high cost of importation of these materials into the country. So with so doing, with time, we can start it will kind of lower the price of the kits and the price of conversion. And most importantly, with the onset of this CNG in Nigeria, I'm of the view that gradually as we move on, would have a way to develop our local content within the CNG sector. It might not be in providing those kits, but it might be in assembling.
Okay.
It might be in different factors. We have some fabricators here in Nigeria, the Southeast, Abao, Onitsha, Anambra, Enugu, and every other places. They're into fabrication. We know we can, but we just have to kind of. I think when we start talking about the different value chains this sector can bring to the table, start talking about how we can step into this place and fill these voids when it comes to manufacturing and things like that.
Okay, very well. Then we'll take a short break. I'll come back with the question of the value chain in the CNG space when we come back from this break. So stay with us. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation in a bit. Don't go anywhere. My name is Ubon Kings.
I am Marvelous Apamaga.
I am Chioma Akbala.
My name is Ifulaya Ndule, but I'm living in our market speaking.
Good to have you rejoin us. It's the Eastern Business Report right here on the Afia Business Morning, and we're talking about CNG, the CNG initiatives, and we're looking at how well positioned the Southeast is in relation to this. And I still have my guest seated here. I like to call him Engineer Charles, and I think I can just leave it there. Engineer Charles is still seated here. But before the break, you already started talking about it, but let's get into it proper. The value chain, okay, with reference to the CNG space. What exactly do people, or do you see happening as far as value chain is concerned?
When it comes to the CNG value chain, it's kind of very, very broad because the CNG sector is still a very, very virgin sector when it comes to Nigeria, highly untapped. Now there are a whole lot of areas you can tap in because it has it's a lot of social, economic benefits. When it comes to the space, right now there's a scarcity or a lack of kits, installation kits, as I would call it, because of the heavy cost of importation, but basically because of lack of awareness and sensitization. A few states, lack of awareness and sensitization. A few states have been privileged to be sensitized enough to be engaged in this CNG space, while a couple of us have been deprived. I wouldn't call it being deprived. I would say we've not really cued into the idea of the CNG concept, especially within the Southeast region. It's most critical there, and that's been a basic challenge within the space. So when it comes to the value chain, importation of the kits, it's one of the value chain, and it comes to a whole lot of benefits, which most of us don't know, especially we from the southeast here. The federal government, on the inception of His Excellency Bolaji Ahmed Tinubu, made a waiver for CNG kits, CNG-related kits. If you're importing anything related to CNG, there was a waiver on tax and custom and a couple of other duties, so as to reduce the cost of these kits coming into the country. We are aware, so most of our businessmen aren't able, because it's still ongoing, to tap into such opportunities. Imagine importing and just paying for the goods and the transport to the country. No waiver free for tax and other things like that. And our region is not really tapping into it because the awareness is not there. That is one of the value chains. Now we're talking about the technical skills required for this conversion. One, it creates job, and it gives skills as well too. Now we're talking about various areas. Let's say, yeah, we have this kit and it's been converted. We need a refilling station. These refilling stations needs a couple of people to be employed as well too. That's a value chain. Now you have what we call a daughter station, how we call a mother station. A mother station could be considered a tank farm. Then the mother station could be, the daughter station could be considered the dispensing outlets. Yeah. Now, for the CNG transportation from one part to the other needs a specific kind of truck. We call it CNG kind of a truck. Now, those trucks themselves, it needs to be imported because it's not readily available. You need specific drivers that can drive them. So you'll be creating employment with that, and you already have the refilling point, which is equally a place you need to employ people. The mother station are equally employing people. Now, when these engineers are being trained out, they go out there. They are being employed into various departments and the companies and other people to be able to convert the cars. Because at the long run, imagine I have I'm into the commercial sector. I have vehicle transports of 50 or more, and I come to pay each time I go to convert. I pay. Each time I go to convert, I pay. I rather go for a qualified conversion engineer. I employ him to my company, and he starts converting my car. So the value chains are quite numerous. Yeah. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah, we yet to talk about the benefits as well too. That it has to benefit the citizens. Let's say you buy a liter of fuel, 1,250, and a liter of CNG at its most 300 naira per kg, and it covers the same distance CNG what's it been called? Fuel covers. Imagine you spent, okay, I was engaging with someone in Abuja. He's converted his car. He's into a transport system. He drives interstate, what's it called again? These cabs. Yeah. These cabs in Abuja, and he has the CNG stored in his vehicle. And we got discussed and said, on an average, before now, he spends 15,000 naira on buying fuel for his daily movement. But after converting to CNG, at most he spends 3,500 naira on the daily. So he's saving so much. We haven't started talking about the various technological advancements associated to CNG as well too. It's so vast and it's so massive. Like I'll use the inventor of a telecom into Nigeria. I'll keep telling stories to people about this, and I always use it as an instance. When MTN came to Nigeria, it was very expensive. It had a few players in that sector. But gradually, what we have today, we have a whole lot of the invention. The POS we enjoy today is a result of that same movement there. And you can imagine how many people POS is paying today and giving employment today. What's it called? The recharge card sales, we can say it was better from one day. So from what I'm saying, CNG has an unlimited value chain.
All right. Now, talking about positioning of the Southeast, you already said that, the Southeast is not that positioned. How about the state government? How would you rate the involvement of state governments in this CNG initiative?
Okay. Yeah, for frankly speaking, the Southeast, it's not really in the know when it comes to the CNG sector. And partly, I would say our state governments have a lot of role to play when it comes to that, especially in the area of sensitization and awareness of this. There are a lot of fears around CNG. Yeah, we know about that. But with the government involvement and friendly, how do I call it, CNG-friendly policies being promoted, we would have a whole lot of private investors involved when it comes into this CNG sector. But I think the state government has to first of all take the lead. If we look at the national level, I think the federal government first of all took the lead before we start saying the private sector involvement within it. And the only way the states and the region can start involving an almost instant socioeconomic benefits of CNG, it's when the governments, when the state governments and the private sectors come together in hand, then the region can start reaping almost immediately the benefits of this CNG.
I think this is a good place to leave it because our time is fast spent already. Thank you so much. It's been an honor doing this with you. Thank you for your time. It's okay. Stay with me. And in case you're just joining in, I've been playing host to Engineer Charles, and we have been talking specifically, almost completely, about the CNG initiatives. How well has the Southeast adapted to this, and how well are we going to adapt eventually? And so we'll take a break here. And you can follow this conversation on our dedicated Afia Business YouTube channel. Go to www.youtube.com/@Afia Business. And while you're there, remember you should like and subscribe so you get notifications and all business-related content coming to you from Afia TV. And you can join us on our socials on Instagram @AfiaBusiness_. Oh, well, that's the size of the package on this business report. Coming up next will be the segment on Afia. My name is Ubong Kings. Thank you for your time. Good morning.